Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganatharaghanatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gorange Radhe Brindavaneshwari Prishabhana Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary of Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Today's verse is number 24, chapter 2, chapter entitled Contents of Gita Summarized. Please repeat. Acchedyo yam adāhyo yam akledyo śoṣya nityaḥ sarva-gataḥ sthāṇur acalo yam sanātanaḥ acchedyo yam adāhyo yam akledyo śoṣya nityaḥ sarva-gataḥ sthāṇur acalo yam sanātanaḥ acchedyo yam akledyo śoṣya nityaḥ sarva-gataḥ sthāṇur acalo yam sanātanaḥ acchedyo yam adāhyo yam akledyo śoṣya nityaḥ sarva-gataḥ sthāṇur acalo yam sanātanaḥ
akledyo śoṣya nityaḥ sarva-gataḥ
Thank you.
acchedyo āyam adāhyo akledyo śoṣya nityaḥ sarva-gataḥ sthāṇur sanātanaḥ adāhyo akledyo śoṣya
So, word for word, please repeat. Acchedyaḥ, unbreakable. Ayam, this soul. Adāhyaḥ, unable to be burned. Ayam, this soul. Akledyaḥ, insoluble. aśoṣyaḥ, not able to be dried. Eva, certainly. Cha, and nityaḥ, everlasting. sarva-gataḥ, all-pervading. sthāṇuḥ, unchangeable. acalo, immovable. This soul. sanātanaḥ, eternally the same. Yes. So, translation Srila Prabhupada. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Please repeat. This individual soul, is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Purport Srila Prabhupada. Purport. All these qualifications of the atomic soul definitely prove that the individual soul is eternally the atomic particle of spirit, whole, and he remains the same atom eternally, without change. The theory of monism is very difficult to apply in this case, because the individual soul is never expected to become one homogeneously. After liberation, can you close that window, please? This one. After liberation from material contamination, the atomic soul may prefer to remain as a spiritual spark in the effulgent rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word sarva-gataḥ, all-pervading, is significant because there is no doubt that the living entities are all over God's creation. They live on the land, in the water, in the air, within the earth, and even within fire. Their belief that they are sterilized in fire is not acceptable, because it is clearly stated here that the soul cannot be burned by fire. Therefore, there is no doubt there are living entities also in the sun planet with suitable bodies to live there. If the sun globe were uninhabited, then the word sarva-gataḥ, living everywhere, becomes meaningless. Yes. Makam karoji vachalam pangam laiti grim yat kripatamaham bande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. So, Krishna is drawing to a close his description of the soul. The next verse, it is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. If, however, you think that the soul or symptoms of life will always be born and never die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty aunt. So that verse, number 26, is Krishna is changing his different reasoning, his different excuse. First is the soul is eternal, and then in 26 he says, but if you think that the soul dies along with the body, then you should also not lament, because the body is going to die anyway, sooner or later, so you have to do your duty. So you can't say that killing the body and thereby killing the soul is a reason not to do your duty. And if you think that the soul is eternal, then you also, that is even better reason to do your duty. So it's very interesting. So Krishna starts his description of the soul in number 16. So we can look at all the different words that Krishna uses, or at least Prabhupada has translated. The material, number 16, the material body, there's no endurance, but the eternal soul, there is no change. Right? Number 17, the soul pervades the entire body, and it is indestructible. Prabhupada says you cannot destroy the soul. And then in number 18, he describes the eternal living entity, immeasurable and eternal living entity. So the soul is immeasurable and eternal. It's not slain, Krishna says 19. For the soul, number 20, is neither birth nor death. He has not come into being, he does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. And then the soul in number 21, the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable. And then in 22, the soul changes his body along when one body becomes useless. And then this number 23 is the famous verse, Nainam danti shastrani nainam dahati pravika. It cannot be cut into pieces, it cannot be burned. So cut into pieces means according to matter, gross matter, earth, sword. So a sword cannot affect it. Then the fire, element fire cannot burn it. And water element, that cannot moisten it or soak it. Just like if you put a fig in the water before you eat it, it will soak up the water. But the soul is not affected by water, nor withered by the wind. So if you put something in the wind, it'll be dried up. So then today, unbreakable, insoluble, and neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and there's the final point, eternally the same. And then the next verse, soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable. 3 more words. So Krishna is talking about you and me. This is the thing. And Prabhupada makes the point there in the purport that all these qualifications definitely prove that the individual soul is eternally the atomic particle of spirit whole, and he remains the same atom eternally without change. So Prabhupada has brilliantly summed up all those. So Krishna has repeated the same point, indestructible, immutable, not changeable, not burnt, not moistened, because the soul remains the same, but the subtle body and the gross body, they change, right? We have a different mind now, hopefully, than when we were a child. And we have a different body, certainly, from when we were a child. So those things are changing, but the soul is the same. And this is proof of the eternality of the soul, or at least it's inductive proof. It points to the eternality of the soul, because we know that I am the same person now as when I was a child, right? We have the same sense of ego, same sense of being. I'm me. But the problem is, in the material world, we are identifying with the outer body and the inner mind, instead of identifying with Krishna. So prakriti sthāni kāshiti. We're struggling with the mind and body, instead of thinking, I belong to Krishna. Mavaivam sajiva loke jiva bhuta sanātanaḥ. So Krishna is saying, this soul that is eternally the same, unchangeable, immutable, indestructible, sarva-gataḥ, right, unbreakable, insoluble. Again, this is Krishna's repeating from 23, right? Unbreakable, cannot be cut by weapon. Insoluble, that means moistened by water. Cannot be burned. That's also in the previous verse, not burned by fire. And then, nor dried. In the previous verse, not withered by the wind. So Krishna's repeated. And then he's added 3 more. Unchangeable. So we're the same person. I'm the same, but I don't think that I've changed from when I was a little baby. I have the same sense of me. So that is unchangeable. Immovable. Now that is reference. Sometimes Prabhupada once was asked, what about when people have a heart transplant, Srila Prabhupada? They take out the heart. So the soul is not attached to the heart. The soul is on the spiritual platform. So you take, it's in the region of the heart. Therefore, when we have a shock, we sometimes feel it in the heart, right? A big shock. Like there was a shock to my heart, we say. Because the seat of the soul within the body is in the region of the heart. But it's not attached there. It's floating on the life airs of the body, the electrical currents and the physical currents, but it's not attached. So you take out the soul and put this heart, put in a new heart. Prabhupada said it's just like you get out of one motor car, you get back in another. Just to give the example. So the soul is not immovable. That means he is beyond the physics of this material world, right? Atakshri Krishna Namabdi, right? The soul is not perceivable by the material body, because it's spiritual, it's a different energy. So it's not that if you get a good enough material microscope, you will be able to focus on the soul. Because that material microscope can only pick up matter. But the soul is on spiritual energy. So similarly, Krishna, you cannot get a telescope and find Golok, or tune in on the Polaris, because we hear that Shirodakshai Vishnu is on Polaris. So you cannot get a big telescope and focus on Polaris, and there you will see Vishnu in the ocean. No, he is on the transcendental platform. So how do we see Krishna then? We see Krishna through the soul, through the spirit. We are spirit, so Krishna is seen through the spiritual vision. And that's in the 11th chapter, right? Krishna said, Arjuna asked, Krishna, how can I see? You're talking about how you're pervading and running the material universe. Please show me how you're doing that. So then Krishna says, well, you cannot see me with your material eyes. You have to see me with spiritual eyes. So I give you divya chakshus. And therefore, Arjuna was able to see the Virat Rupa. And of course, when we see paintings of the Virat Rupa, that is the artist's conception, the artist's hint. We see all these things. But what that is in actual fact is another thing. That is for contemplation by the great sages. The great sages, they go into samadhi, and with their soul, they try to understand what is eternality, what is the position of Paramatma. The Shastra is there to give us a hint, to give us direction, to give us topic to meditate on, something to digest. But ultimately, Krishna is seen with the soul. And if you read, I don't think I brought it today. No. I'll bring it next week, perhaps. In the Brahma Samhita, that famous verse, Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena, that you can see Krishna with prem. But in the purport, Bhaktisiddhanta edited the translation of his disciple, and those purports were originally made by Jiva Goswami. If you read the purport very carefully, there Jiva Goswami, through Bhaktisiddhanta, is explaining that Premanjanata is not on the physical eye, it is the eye of the soul. Because Swarup Shakti means the spiritual body has grown out of the sleeping soul. So with that spiritual body, he is able to relate to Krishna. So yes, it is correct that everything is Krishna. Aham sarvasya pravabo matak sarvam pravatite. Everything is come from Krishna, material or spiritual. But at the same time, we are directed to meditate on Krishna in transcendence. This is the important point. Yes, you can meditate on Krishna as the ocean, as the sunset, as the rickshaw. But that is the mistake. And then you realize Krishna as the sunset, as the rickshaw, as the metal, as the elements. But Lord Chaitanya is Namo Mahavadanyaya because he has given the ultimate aspect of the meditation of Krishna. Just like we were saying at the beginning of the class. According to the meditation you approach Krishna through, you will get a response. Yetam mam prapadyante. Therefore, if you meditate upon Krishna and you worship Krishna in the form of Lakshmi Devi, you may get Lakshmi, right? Or if you're Ravana, you're worshipping Sita, well, you can't really, he was cursed, he couldn't enjoy Sita. That is the demoniac propensity. They want to enjoy the energy of Krishna, but they want to enjoy the Prakriti, but they don't want to serve the Purusha. So Ravana, he was trying to enjoy Sita, but the energy of Krishna, of Ram, but he didn't want to serve Ram. But Lord Chaitanya has taught us that we should meditate in Vipralamba Seva Bhav. Vipralamba means in the mood of separation. Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patitamam Vishavevavam Buddho. I have fallen into this material ocean. Now you, by your mercy, you pick me up. And then Nayanam Gladasrudharaya. Then I'm feeling separation. So Vipralamba Seva Bhav means that. We have to understand, we've fallen into the entanglement of the mind and body, the eternal, indestructible, eternal soul. But Krishna, you, by your mercy, you make it. But that doesn't mean to say that we just wait for a Messiah to come out of the sky and save us. No, yoga means that we also work. Krishna explains in the Gita to Arjuna, Arjuna, armed with knowledge. Very interesting. Krishna is a big Arjuna is a big Kshatriya. He has all the astra. But he didn't say to Arjuna, armed with your bow and arrows. No, he says, armed with knowledge, stand and fight. This is what it tells Arjuna. So that is indication that this knowledge that is there, Vedesha Dula Mamadula Mahatma Bhakto, that's also in Brahma Samhita, that through the Vedas you cannot find Krishna, but if you apply Atma Bhakto, devotion of the soul, then the Vedas become revealed. What is that verse? Yasya deve parabhaktir, yasya deve tatagaro, taishyete kahita yata prakashante mahatmana. To that person who has implicit faith in Krishna and the spiritual master, all the import of the Vedas are automatically revealed. Implicit faith. So how do you get the implicit faith? Implicit means without doubt. That means the person is realized. He's Swarup Siddhi. He's realizing Krishna. He's seated on the spiritual platform. So he's enlightened. As we discussed last week, Krishna is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, Lord Brahma said. So we are also Satchit Ananda Vigraha, eternal, we are eternal. Chit. Chit means cognizant. He's able to absorb knowledge. But in the material world, we're asat. We're identifying with the temporary changing body and mind. And achit, our ability to cognize properly, to recognize, to perceive, is covered by the Maya Shakti. Because we don't have Seva-bhav, through this Seva-bhav, we connect with Krishna. Just like that light bulb, it's shining. Why? Because it's connected to the power station. So the soul, though everything is Krishna, he's disconnected by illusion from the power station Krishna. So therefore he's achit, he's in this confused material platform. And then Anand, he's disconnected from Anand. Krishna means, we were discussing 2 classes ago, Jiva Goswami in Gopal Champu, he says Krishna means he who is full of bliss and therefore is all attractive. Right? We all like happy people. Huh? If somebody is happy, we're attracted to that person. If somebody is miserable, we say, oh, misery guts. So we try to cheer that person up. But somebody who's happy and effulgent and kind and manifesting good quality, oh, very attractive person. Huh? But if somebody's miserable, we say, oh, yes, nice, I'll see you tomorrow. So Krishna is full of bliss. So like we're saying before the class, this is prescient, that whatever aspect of Krishna you meditate upon, you will get a resonance. If you meditate on his musical ability and you practice your guitar or your harmonium, then your harmonium player you'll get that ability. If you remember that Krishna is a beautiful flute player, you may become a very great musician by that meditation. But what is Lord Chaitanya given as the highest aspect of Krishna to meditate upon? The love between Radha and Krishna. That's in the teachings to Ramananda Roy. First Ramananda Roy instructs Lord Chaitanya, Varnashram, no. Yad karosi yadanasi, do everything. There it goes all the way up, the way up, the way up. And then at the end, he talks about Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada. And then Lord Chaitanya, now you're talking sensibly. This is very good. And then he goes up about the different rasas, Sakya ras, this, Madhurya. And then at the end, Lord Chaitanya says, okay, Ramananda, tell me more. Well, then Ramananda Roy is a great sage. He said, Prema Vaivarta. And then Lord Chaitanya said, don't speak anymore. So Prema Vaivarta means transformations. And Prema Vaivarta means the transformations, the moods of exchange between Radha and Krishna. Because they are not impersonally vibrating. They are exchanging emotions, transformations, vaivarta. So then Lord Chaitanya, don't speak on this, because this is the highest, but this is the meditation. And that is expanded by the 6 Goswamis in the Rasa Shastra. And if you read Jaiva Dharma, the later sections, starting from chapter 24, then you get the full introduction to Rasa Tattva. There's 2 types of knowledge we should absorb. This Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha means relationships. It means the interrelationships of Krishna and the material energy and the spiritual energy and the jiva. And particularly the philosophical understanding of how the material world works. But then rasa tattva, the science of rasa tattva, tattva Prabhupada translates many times as science, is the science of rasa. It means not the science of the three modes of the illusory energy, but the science of the yoga maya, not the maha maya. So in Voga, I also don't have that. Sambhutim vinasam cha. That's in verse number 11 of the Ishupanishad. There Veda Vyasa has written that if you learn how the material world works with the demigods and the laws of karma, and you also learn how the spiritual world works, then you can transcend the material energy and enter into transcendence. So you must learn, yes, all this Bhagavad Gita, but then you must learn Uddhava Gita, then you must learn Ujjvala Nilamani, and you must learn Rasa Tattva. So the 6 Goswamis have expanded the science of Rasa Tattva. Krishna is a Shraya, he's the shelter. The living entity is the sheltered. That there is, 5 primary rasas? Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. There are 7, they're the Sthayi Bhavs, and then there is 7 secondary rasas. Laughter, astonishment, chivalry, compassion, anger, dread, ghastliness. Then there is 33 Sanchari Bhavs. And Sanchari Bhavs means stimulus for that rasa. Because that's rasa, mellow taste. I have the mellow of service. I have the mellow of friendship. I have the mellow of parentalhood. Sometimes it's mixed with laughter. Sometimes it's mixed with astonishment. Sometimes it's mixed with astonishment and laughter. Sometimes it's mixed with compassion. Sometimes on the battlefield I'm serving Krishna, but it's ghastly. I see all the dead bodies on the battlefield. So all these rasas, this is the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So rasa tattva means to understand the Sthayi Bhavs, the basic fixed moods, and then the secondary Bhavs, laughter, astonishment, chivalry, compassion, anger, dread, ghastliness, how they interplay, and then Sanchari Bhav, they're also called Vaibhavs. They stimulate. Just like if you, somebody makes you laugh, it stimulates rasa. You feel some stimulus of rasa. So in the spiritual world, Madhu Mangal is stimulating rasa, right? Their dread and ghastliness is there. They're all in the material world. That's not there in the spiritual world. Dread and ghastliness, but it has the root here in the material world. So it's felt as if Krishna is in danger. Because in the material world, or the Bhoma Lila, Krishna is apparently in danger from the Rakshasas and the Asuras sent by Kamsa. So all this rasa, this is rasa tattva. Just like you're all understanding that there are different demigods and different devis, Nidra Devi, and this is they are like the, they're like the civil service. They're running the material world. Just like in India, they have the Prime Minister and they have different ministers in charge of different departments. So the spiritual, the material world is run like that. You have Paramatma, Vishnu, Mahavishnu, and then he has his empowered devatas, and they're running different aspects. 33 million devatas. We've discussed this many times. In India, how many civil servants are there? At least 1 million, right? Maybe 2 million. And 50% of those are sleeping. So, so that's 1 million. Then you have America. They have 2 million there, figuring out how to bomb everyone. And then every country, there's at least 33 million devatas, demigods, civil servants. So that is as above, so below. So the material world is run not by laws, it's run by people who maintain the laws. Just like you have laws of traffic in India. You have to drive on the left, not the right. So it's maintained by the police force. It's maintained by personalities. So all the materialistic science think that everything is resting upon mathematics. That through mathematics we can analyze everything. But mathematics is a material, impersonal subject. Everything is running according to the lawmakers. And they're enforcing the laws of the universe. So Krishna is not bound by them. Just like the Prime Minister of India, he's not bound. When he comes to Vrindavan, if he does, he doesn't have to drive on one side of the road. They clear the whole road. And he drives, he can go as fast as he likes. Right? This is a material example. He's not bound by the normal laws that we as normal citizens are bound by. So this indicates Krishna's position. He's beyond physical laws. This is the soul is immutable, it's eternal. So Prabhupada is making the point there. So we have to understand the eternal position of the soul in the spiritual world. If we just study the three modes of material nature, the laws of karma, this and that, that's good. But on that basis we gain liberation. But if we study rasa tattva, and everyone should get Jaiva Dharma and study Jaiva Dharma, everything is summarized there. And that is what the Goswamis and Lord Chaitanya came to give. The vision of the spiritual world. How to awaken the Swarup, the spiritual body, and with that Premanjana Charita, realize Krishna. So that's what we're doing when we're chanting. This is spiritual mantra, but we're doing it as an offering, seva-bhav. The spiritual world, the vision is attained by service attitude, seva. And particularly in Vipralamba, I haven't attained you. This is a mistake of many Sahajiya groups. They think that through imagination they've attained Krishna. I'm dancing with Krishna in my mind. Now they're devotees, they're applying their intelligence. But Lord Chaitanya particularly taught that we should approach with namaskaru, as Krishna says, a sense of separation. Then through seva-bhav, Krishna is realized. Just like if you have a good servant, you're very well disposed, are you not? But if your servant is rebellious, you don't. So, seva-bhav is the difference. In the material world, the soul is serving the body and the mind. But in the spiritual world, the soul is serving Krishna. So, mavai bangsa, mama angsa means my part. So Krishna is saying that soul, you and me, we belong to Krishna. We are not just stuck in the material world, we are belonging to Krishna. Like in this material world, people say, oh, I belong to Ukraine, I belong to Russia, I belong to America, I belong to my wife belongs to me. We have this aham mameti. Aham, I am this material body and mind, and the things related to this material body and mind, they are mine. But no. So we can understand that. Krishna is saying that the living entities, they are mine. So we are part and particle of Krishna. So we are thinking, no, this material energy is mine. So we've got the same sense of possessiveness. Krishna says the living entities are mine, the creation is mine, the devatas are mine, everything is mine. I'm the creator, I'm Janmadya Shyata. Everything is produced by me, my creation, so it's mine. Just like if I make a painting, it's my painting. I created it. But so in the material world, we are always thinking, this is my smartphone, my coat, my hat, my bag, my dhoti. It's mine. So we're getting that minus sense of possession from Krishna. like we've been saying from the beginning. We have the same quality of Krishna. But we should be thinking, instead of this is my body, my mind, my paraphernalia, we should be thinking, this is my Krishna. Because we are angsa, just like this thumb thinks this is my body. So we are angsa. The thumb is part of the body, so the thumb is thinking, this is my body. But we are thinking, the thumb is thinking, no, that this is what outside is mine, this glove is mine. No, we should think, this is my Krishna. And this is what, you're right, Radharani, she's thinking, this is my Krishna. He belongs to me. And Krishna is saying, this is my Radharani. But we have directed this sense of possession to material objects instead of towards Krishna within the heart. And so then we're entangled in the material energy. So we have to learn the science of, Krishna, you belong to me, and I belong to you. Right? But now we're separated by the illusory energy. And armed with knowledge, stand and fight. And here, Prabhupada explains the soul is eternal. This is the basic point. Soul is eternal. And let's discuss what Prabhupada said. The theory of monism is very difficult to apply in this case, because the individual soul is never expected to become one homogeneously. That means he never loses his individuality. So that's reassuring. Because we like to be ourselves. We don't want to non-exist, right? We always want to live, but we think that existence means we maintain the body. But we should leave that aside and think, I am eternal. But the problem is, I'm eternally in the wrong place. Lokoyam karma bandhana, because I'm using my ability, my free will, my creative capacity in the wrong direction. Instead of possessing Krishna, I'm possessing the material energy. So this is Ravana, right? This is Hiranyakashipu. They want to possess the Maya Shakti, but they don't want to possess the Purusha. They want Prakriti, but they don't want Purusha. They want Lakshmi, they don't want Narayan. They want Sita, they don't want Ram. This is the big problem. So this is the Ravana mood. Ravana, English word is ravenous, right? It means somebody very hungry, very lusty. I want more, more, more. So we see that, right? You can be a billion trillionaire, central banker. You still want more power, more land, more control. Because you're not satisfied. The material energy doesn't satisfy the spirit soul. But the Krishna means one who is full of unlimited bliss, so then the soul blossoms and becomes Atmaram. So here, this is eternality. So the idea that the soul, that is coming in monism. Monism is this idea that the soul, upon death of the body, or what, there's various varieties of monism, and they have 4 theories. This is also in Jivadharma, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explains this. 4 theories for the production of the individual soul. And it is based on word jugglery and misinterpretation of the Vedic evidence. Here Krishna is explaining all these different ways, and Prabhupada is brilliantly summarized, the eternally immutable, indestructible soul. Sat. So, what are those 4 theories? First one is the reflection, First one is, Bhakti-Vinod explains, that they have, the Mayavadis produce this idea, that there is an earthen pot. In the Vedas often they use earthen pots as an example. The earthen pot. And if an earthen pot is there and you put a cover on the top, then the air in the earthen pot is separated from the air outside. So the individual soul is compared to the air in the pot, and Brahman, the unlimited consciousness, is compared to the air outside the pot. So therefore the individual soul, when the pot is broken, when the body is gone, the air inside the pot becomes merged with the totality of the air. And you will find that in many of the man-made religions. They think, oh, when I die I'll go back to God. This idea that once this material body and mind is finished, then I'll go to God. Right? You've heard this idea? Right? So this is, it's not as simple as that. But the basic idea is, it's a Mayavadi idea, that the soul is a creation. It is cut off from the Supreme Consciousness by the limited function of the body and mind. And then the second theory is that if you put lots of earthen pots and you fill them all with water, like this had a glass on this, and then the sun will be reflected in each earthen pot on the surface. So this is another Mayavadi idea, because the first idea says, oh, Brahman cannot be cut, it cannot be separated. So therefore, that is a wrong theory, and the right theory is that the sun remains one, but he has many reflections in many pots. Do you understand the idea? Many surfaces in many pots. So Brahman, they think, now we have made Brahman one and not cut. And so then, when the earthen pot is destroyed and the water goes into the land, then the reflection is finished. So the basic same idea, that the soul is only living in the material body. And when the material body is gone, so the soul is gone. So homogeneous becomes one. Then the third one is, yes, that it's a very similar idea to the reflection idea, that Brahman has projected himself into the material bodies. Therefore, he is pervading, Brahman is pervading all the individual bodies and experiencing all the individual bodies. And this is his Leela. But then the objection against that is that this is implying intention and Leela and activity to the impersonal Brahman. So they're coming to a personal idea, that Brahman is exerting his personality and he is experiencing Bibhishana, he is experiencing me, he's experiencing you in your situation. So he's expanded himself into the tiger body, into the mosquito body, into the fish body, whatever, into the bird body, and then he is just experiencing all this. Well, the objection against that is that all this is suffering. So why would Brahman expand himself into suffering condition? If I'm an expansion projection from Brahman, then why, and you know, I'm getting a toothache and breaking my leg and dying in a war or getting poisoned, getting malaria, Why am I doing all this suffering? Why have I, if Brahman is perfection, why is he experiencing imperfection and suffering? And he is separating himself, whether you juggle these words or not. He is separated into separate existence. So if I'm Brahman, and this is often the Mayavadi say it's all one. But my bank account is my bank account, and your bank account is your bank account. If it's all one, then I should be able to withdraw money from your bank account. If you are the same as me, Brahman, why don't you give me all your money? I only have $50 in my bank account, and you have $5,000 in yours. So I'm Brahman, your money is mine. So this leads to immorality, because there's no distinction between the individual souls. So therefore, this Mayavadi idea destroys morality, because everything is the Leela of God, of Brahman, and there's no restrictions. If I kill you, that's my Leela. If you kill me, that's your Leela. It's all Brahman's Leela. So there's no, do you understand the point? So there's no laws, and those laws are all illusory. And then the fourth idea is pure solipsism, it's called in Western philosophy. It means that nothing happened. I am Brahman, and all this that I'm experiencing is just a projection from me. You are a projection from me, you are a projection from me. So how to defeat that idea? Apart from Shastra, is very simple. If you're a projection from me, then why can't I control you? Right? And why am I doing such a bad job? Why, if I'm Brahman, why am I creating all this suffering in the world? Right? Because that's what I'm seeing. I'm suffering, I'm getting old, my teeth are falling out, I'm becoming weaker, I'm getting indigestion. So what kind of Brahman is that? But the final point is, I'm not in control of my projection. But then, this is an idea that sometimes people, when they take intoxication, they think, the only I am Brahman. They don't think this clearly, but they think, I am possible of anything. Therefore, if I go on the top of a building, I can fly, but I have to believe I can fly. The reason I can't fly is because I don't believe I can fly. Do you understand? So therefore, take LSD or some stimulant or some drug, and now I'm on the top of the building and I'm meditating that I can fly. I believe I can fly. And then I step off the building. But I don't fly. I don't fly, I fly. I'm flying down to the ground. And all the people, they have open window because it is summer, and as I'm flying down to the ground, I'm saying, so far so good, so far so good. And all the people were listening, so far so good, he said before he flew into the ground. So the thing is, if we are Parameshwara, if we are Supreme Brahman, Supreme means Supreme Controller, why are we suffering? And that's Lord Chaitanya's question to Lord Sanātana Goswami's. What am I actually, and why am I suffering? So suffering teaches us, this is why we had a class 3-4 days, it teaches us that we are not the Supreme. If we were the Supreme, And then if I got a toothache, I wouldn't have to go to the dentist. I could just, my tooth is good, and solve the problem. But I can't do that. I am under control. So suffering teaches us that we're under control, and if we're under control, we are not the Supreme. It's as simple as that. So suffering in the material world has a great purpose, because the problem is that Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, they want to be the Supreme. They find out that they're not. Ravana finished, Hiranyakashipu finished, Hiranyaksha finished, Kumbhakana finished. The material body will be finished, but we don't want to be finished. So we're under control. And therefore in the Virat Rupa, kalosmi aham, I am time. We're under the control of time. In the books they may make time machines, but nobody has made one yet. And the other absolute is mrityu sarva harascha. We're under control of death, but we don't want to die. So time and mrityu, they are absolutes. And they prove to us, a sane person, that we are under control. Because nobody wants to grow old, right? Krishna doesn't grow old. He stays eternally youthful. So does Radharani. That's the spiritual world. But we all, right? Somebody may say, oh, you're getting old. So, well, you're also going to get old. Everybody gets old. Nobody wants it. So we're under control. So therefore, when we accept that suffering is imposed upon me, and time is an absolute effect that I cannot push aside, then we can understand, I'm under control, I'm not the Supreme. And then we can perform bhajan. So, in the highest regions of bhajan, the soul is like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He made those prayers. He said, Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga, that I'm coming to give, you're coming, Lord Chaitanya, to give bhakti characterized by vairag, disattachment to any result, and vidya, knowledge. So, this is the spiritual state. There is no vairag, we're not performing, there's people in the spiritual world are not performing activities because they want some fruit. They're just in this ecstatic mood of dedication. So, that is the goal. But if we understand that I do Krishna bhajan and I will become free of suffering, and I will become immersed in bliss, this is kind of a selfishness, right? Whereas the spiritual state is unselfish. But if we understand I'm suffering and I'm under control, and through selfishness I can perform bhajan. But we should perform that bhajan that ultimately understanding, armed with knowledge, that the spiritual state is beyond, because it's full of ecstatic love, where the possession is Krishna. And what's that verse? Hridayam Twaham. That the sadhus have nothing but me in their heart. And those sadhus are my heart. I know no one but them, and they know no one but me. So this is the spiritual state. The sadhu belongs to Krishna, and Krishna belongs to the sadhu. And the sadhu, Krishna says, is my heart. So, we should chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. With a sense of Siddhanta, what that perfect state is. So we should study Rasa Tattva, we should learn what it's like in the spiritual world. And not be distracted. What does Lord Shiva, who came as Shankaracharya, Prashjanam Bodhamuchyate, he says in the Padma Puran, he says, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Namudamate, Nahi Rakshati Dukrim Karine. Worship Govinda, worship Govinda, worship Govinda. Your grammatical knowledge and word jugglery, establishing this theory, that theory, will not save you at the time of death. When you find out that you're not the Supreme. You may be juggling words, making yourself the Supreme, but you're just Ravana on the mental platform instead of on the bodily platform. So we have to understand that time, mrityu, suffering, these are good. Because they teach us that this is, we are not the Supreme. And then we can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, and go back to Godhead and have eternal life, full of bliss and knowledge. So, any question?
Hare Krishna. You see that this Ravan conception actually, no?
Sorry?
Ravan conception in the mind actually, no?
Yes, we want to enjoy the material energy. We want to enjoy Sita.
When we are in the association of the devotees and we are engaged in the devotional service only, then we are not in a position to remember this Ravan conception actually.
Excuse me, we're not in a position to?
It does not come into our mind actually, Ravan conception. When we are engaged in devotional service, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. We are chanting 16 rounds of Japmala actually in the morning. We are attending our program actually. We are attending this Bhagavad Gita at all. So this Ravan concept does not come into our mind actually.
Well, that's because you're a devotee. That's because you're a devotee. So a devotee doesn't want to enjoy the material world. He wants to use the material world and his material abilities, his karma fal, as an offering to Krishna. Just like your brilliant Madanga playing. We're doing it for Krishna. This is yagya. I'm giving this class as an offering to Krishna. You're listening to the class as a yagya. The sages at Naimisharanya, they assembled there to perform yagya. They were sacrificing their hearing, and Sutta Goswami was sacrificing his kirtan. So the devotee is always doing everything as an offering. Majaji.
Control of the material product.
Yeah, that's Ishvaro Ahambogi.
Yes. But when
I am the controller and enjoyer.
When we are engaged in our devotional service actually, then this conception doesn't come into mind actually. We are controller. We are
Yes.
of the Lord Krishna actually.
Yeah.
That's why we chant. If we are in the habit of actually proprietor of this word actually, then we are not able to chant the Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, but we can be Ishvara in the sense that we control our mind and body in the service of Krishna.
To somewhat extent,
That's the free will.
to somewhat extent, we are the surrendered soul to the Lord Krishna. That's why we are chanting. We are
Yes. Yeah, that's right. But we can be controller of our own consciousness. If you want to be Ishvara, control your own consciousness.
We are not Ishwar actually.
Right?
Because
Therefore, yeah, well, no, let me finish the point. You want to be controller, but control your consciousnness through loilam.
That is automatic control when we are surrendered to the Lord Krishna.
No, not automatic. This automatic idea it can be overstated. You can chant Hare Krishna for a million years, but you have to have the intention. You have to mix seva bhav. I want to be your Krishna, your servant. I Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram. I want to be your servant. You have to, listen, try to understand the point. Nothing is automatic. This automatic idea, that is for impersonal things. This is automatically fall to the ground, right? It's the lid. But the soul is not an automatic entity. The soul has independent will. So, the secret of devotional service is to use your own ability to choose. You understand? You have to have intention. Now that can be bolstered, that can be enhanced by sadhu sangha, sāva shastra hoy, lava mata sadhu sangha, sāva siddhi hoy. If you have good association, then that will inspire you to desire Krishna. But don't think it'll come automatically. Just like you didn't come automatically to the class. You chose to come. When you wake up in the morning, do you automatically take shower? No. You automatically think, I want to go back to sleep. But you can automatically think, I should get up.
It is not a machine type actually.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. The soul is not a machine.
It becomes a habit actually. It means like this.
Yes, so that's, you built that habit, you. So understand. Anyway, it's a matter of words, but I'm trying to get the idea that yeyatam mam prapadyante, all of them as they surrender, they choose how they use their ability, I reciprocate. So Krishna is reciprocating, like at the beginning of the class. If you want to become a good musician, the best thing is to meditate on Krishna's flute playing and become inspired. If you want to become muscular, what should you meditate upon? How Krishna has got all Shakti, right? So according to the aspects that you meditate on, you will get a resonance. So if you want to there's a good point now. If you want to become Ishvara of your own consciousness, you should meditate on Krishna is the Ishvara of this world through his consciousness. Right?
Concept does not come into mind.
Sorry? That's because you're not thinking like a materialist. You're a devotee.
You want to become servant only.
Huh?
You want to be a servant of Lord Krishna.
Yes, so you want, that's the whole thing. The soul is a desiring entity, desire. And why is he desiring? Because Krishna is a desiring entity. This creation, material, spiritual, is a result of Krishna's desire. You see? So we have to control our desire. Yeah, go ahead.
You have used word in your lecture, very good lecture, very interesting. Devotion of soul. You have mentioned somewhere that one should be devotional to the soul. So can you explain a little more about that? How
go back 2 sentences.
Devotion to soul.
Devotional.
Yes, so that's you. That's your choice. Huh?
How we can do the service to the soul, devotional service? How we can do devotional service on soul particularly?
On the soul, I don't...
Prabhuji, you told that you have to perform devotion with your soul.
Yes, lolam.
That's what Prabhuji is asking.
Yes, how you can get it? Well, through armed with knowledge that wakes up the soul. Just like I'm saying, this automatic idea. This is, these materialist people, they think like that. The Messiah will come and automatically I'll go to heaven. So in the meantime, I'm watching television. And I'm going to the sports show. Or I'm going to the pub and I'm drinking daru. You see? Because God will do everything automatically.
So what we should do?
No, but what we have to do is self-control. Just like a materialist businessman, he has to be busy. The Mozart, he was playing music from the age of 5, practicing every day. Jimi Hendrix, he was a great guitarist. He used to have a guitar. He used to go to bed, and in the morning he'd pick up his guitar. And he'd play all day and day and night. So if you want to become good at anything, you have to have the desire. And desire is a habit. Right? So sadhu sangha and shastra, therefore siddhanta, right? It says there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita at the beginning, that those that are lazy in understanding siddhanta, their progress in bhakti will become less, you see. Just like if you don't know musical theory, your music, and you just get a sitar, and you don't learn what a scale is, how to tune it, you're not going to be very progressive. But if you learn musical theory, this note goes with this note and this is the scale, then you can progress nicely. So armed with knowledge. So siddhanta gives you the right vision.
Where is that said like that Arjun be armed with the knowledge in the sloka somewhere?
That's near the end.
Yes.
And then at the end, this is the thing about automatic. Krishyase tavavachanam. Krishna asks Arjuna, he says, okay Arjuna, I've explained everything. And then say, Krishna or Govinda, you've explained it. Karishyate tavavachanam. You say, now I'm ready to do tavavat according to your words, you see. So the thing is, choice is there. And that is what Krishna has given us. This has no choice. Has no consciousness. But we are conscious. Consciousness means self-awareness, self-determination. You understand? So this is the point. If we understand it's my choice, I have the ability, then we can become Ishwara in that way, because we control our direction. Yetam mam prapadyante, all of them as they, I reciprocate, I reward accordingly. It is up to us. As Prabhupada said, there's a famous lecture, Prabhupada said, you have to fly your own aeroplane back to Godhead, right? This body is like an airplane. I can fly into the mountainside, I can fly into the valley, or I can fly back to Godhead. You see? What's that verse? Ashradha dana purusha dharmasyasya paranta pa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. Who's that? Who's the pandit? It's you. Oh, yeah. Those that are not faithful on this path of devotional service cannot attain me, but return to the path of birth and death in the material world. Ashradha dana. Mrityu samsara. So we have, this is knowledge. Why did I come to Vrindavan? Why did I shave my head? Why am I chanting Hare Krishna? So you have to choice. You have to apply yourself.
Just want to say that Prabhuji said, when you are engaged in devotional service, you automatically come off the platform. You are right in saying you don't automatically come, because Krishna in the 14th chapter clears that there are 3 modes of material nature. And Prabhupada says there's devotional service in the mode of ignorance, devotional service in the mode of passion, devotional service in the mode of goodness, and then the transcendence.
Yeah,
so
but I mean,
catch ourselves.
I don't want, like I say, I don't want to completely dismiss the automatic, because if you stay with the sadhus, if you stay with the devotees, then automatically you can say you'll become inspired. You understand? But if you overstate automatic and think that it'll just happen automatically.
Don't take responsibility for yourself.
Just like the Christians believe, Jesus is coming and then we'll be saved automatically. You understand? So in the meantime, I don't have to do anything, right? Or I became a Muslim, so I'm automatically going to heaven. Like this. No, nothing is, you see, we are a desiring object, and we should, if we understand that, then we can exert ourselves. Then we become in possession of ourself. Instead of, just like I can control my emotions. If I lose my key to the front door, I can let that destroy my mind. Or I can think, where's the spare key? Right? So, in this material world, we're being assailed. But Krishna says to tolerate, and control yourself. Right? Somebody can say something bad to you. This is also in Christianity, many nice things. Love your enemy, right? Very nice, right? Instead, somebody says to you, oh, I don't like you. The way you tie your dhoti, stupid. So, so I can be upset, or I can think, okay, how should I tie my dhoti? Please instruct me. So we have to be in control and not be controlled, right? So we have to realize that, our own ability. Now the animals, they're very much controlled, right? The lions and the tigers and the bugs and the mosquitoes. But the the human form of life is such that we can learn self-control. Therefore, Bhumandala is called Karma Bhumi. It's a place of work where we direct. So this is just like, I hope you will come next Friday to class. By choice, you see. You won't come automatically. You'll come by choice. And everything is like that. Huh? So that's the essence of being, is choice. And we've got that because Krishna has free will. So he's invested it in us. Right? You're all devotees, why? By choice. Right? You all chose to become devotees, right, Mataji? Because you think, I want to be a devotee. I choose to be a devotee. Right? Am I right? Yes. So you have to develop that choice. You understand? Prabhupada, he went to America, why? By choice. He was told to go and spread in the Western countries, right? But that wasn't force. He chose to follow the request of his spiritual master, right? So that's choice. This is the big secret. If I chant my rounds nicely, that's my choice. See? And then it's a real offering, is it not? If it's automatic, where's the, where's the offering in it? So this way we become Ishvara of our own choice. And then you become liberated because you keep choosing Krishna instead of Maya. Right? And you choose on the basis of Shastra Gyan, Sadhu Sangha, Shastra, Acharya, Guru, Sadhu. You gain inspiration in that way. So, let's choose to chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Did you have a question?
Yes, I have.
I'll give a quick answer. 2 sentences.
But I have 2 questions.
Okay.
One is in the course of our choice and continuous practice, and you said we get liberated, and then we'll. But if we fall down in course,
then we stand up.
But Krishna will pick us up.
Yes, no, don't worry about faults. The baby, he's trying to learn to walk, he falls down, then he tries to get up, then he falls. Krishna is not walking round following you with a big stick. He is trying to help you. You understand? Krishna, the quality of Krishna is compassion. Lord Chaitanya, he's unlimitedly compassion. You understand? So yes, we always have problems, but Krishna is not saying, oh, you didn't go to Mangalati, I'm not letting you go again. Krishna is loving Father, aham bija pita, and he says, Mama angsa, you belong to me. I want you to chant, I enjoy your chanting. You understand? So Krishna is welcoming you. You understand? It's very simple. It's not a fault finder, and even less Radharani. Prabhupada once said, oh, if you have a problem, don't worry, pray to Krishna, he will forgive you. And if he doesn't, pray to Radharani and she will forgive you. And if she doesn't forgive you, pray to me and I will forgive you. So we should not have this fearsome view. Nrsimhadev is for Hiranyakashipu. It's not for the bhakta. Huh? Krishna also means he who attracts. Huh? And Krishna thinks everyone is special. Every soul is special. He's not partial to these souls, and he doesn't like them. Samaham sarva-bhuteshu. One who renders service to me, he is my friend, and I am a friend to him. Right?
At the same time, also, this...
he's the friend. Suridam sarva-bhutanam.
This South Indian, this person, he was illiterate, and he was reading the Bhagavad Gita upside down. So, I think this philosophy, although very good, but still it is very high. Still. So, I am asking you, what is your experience? You have seen ISKCON for so many years, this Rasa Tattva. I don't think 99% of the people know what is happening in the Rasa world. I think so.
And they're not understanding what?
The Rasa world, the Rasa Tattva. Got the Bhakti Rasa.
Yeah, but never mind about them. You learn.
No, but then
you fly your aeroplane.
But unless there are people around me who are all in Rasa and mellows, how can I be in...
No, but the mellow of the holy name. Namani Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha.
Yeah, so can chanting of Hare Krishna suffice? If I chant,
Yes.
If I chant 32 rounds,
Yes.
then it can suffice?
Yes, but like I said, the general projection of the acharyas is that you should learn Siddhanta, philosophical understanding. This is Upanishad. You should learn, what is 6 things Rupa Goswami says. You should be enthusiastic, patient, determination, and then less
renounce bad association.
Yes, and then Satovrite, tat kama pravata. You should follow regulative principles, and Satovrite means you should have a pure occupation. You shouldn't be a bank robber and then doing bhakti. So, tat pravatana, you should follow rules and regulations. 6 things. So you should follow those. Right? So there is advice. It's not that you just chant Hare Krishna. That is not the general principle. But Krishna's mercy is not monopolized. He can do anything he wants. So that Brahmin on the steps of Jagannath Puri temple, right? He was ordered by his spiritual master to read Bhagavad Gita, but he said, I'm just looking at the picture and I'm thinking, how wonderful is Krishna. He becomes the servant of his devotee. And then he was feeling ecstasy. So he was understanding rasa. He was understanding how wonderful is Krishna. Right? And that, right? I think there's, in the Krishna book there's one chapter called Wonderful Krishna. Isn't there?
Yes.
So, that's the thing. We have to have a vision of Krishna. How wonderful is Krishna? And then we become attracted, right? So Krishna is there's that verse in the Bhagavatam, akama sarva-kama muksha kama udharyati trivirena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. Whether you have all desire, no desire, desire for liberation, then you should still worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because though you're, just like the Sahajya, Prabhupada says, one purport, they are devotees, they're approaching. Just like in the, also, 4 types of people approach him, Krishna. One is this person suffering, one is desiring wealth, one is curious, and the other is the person of knowledge. But he says, the person of knowledge, I verily take him to be my own self. And in the 5th canto, Krishna goes, Lord Rishabdev talks about all the living entities. And then he talks about Lord Brahma, and he says, the Brahmins are the greatest. And I consider them superior to myself. That, right? You know that in the 5th canto. So, spiritual knowledge is so vital. You see, Siddhanta. Because we're in illusion, because we don't have Siddhanta. So if we study Dasmula Tattva, the 10 primary points of the Vedas, we become liberated. And Krishna says, one who studies this conversation, he worships me by his intelligence. So at the beginning, very important.
Cause of sinful life and suffering is acchedyo.
Acchedyo
means not having them.
So the Shastra reaches down to us. The Acharyas write all these commentaries. Or the Gurus, they write all these commentaries. They reach down to us. Right? What's that? Samsara dava nanalita loka. That we're burning in the forest fire. But the mercy of the Guru is like the rain cloud. And that rain cloud is Siddhanta. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So thank you all very much.